fellow blood bankers. Today we're going to review all of the immense paperwork it takes to go through a massive transfusion protocol. From now on, we're just going to call it an MTP to make it faster. The world of blood bank is very intense, and it involves a lot of thinking on your feet activity. So not everything you see here is law. The entire goal is to save a life. So let's begin. The first part here is that the doctor is going to decide if it's an actual MTP. There's a little bit of a difference between emergency release and an MTP, and we'll go over that a little bit. There's even a slight difference between an MTP and an OB-MTP. Almost the same. However, in an OB-MTP, we will automatically run a fibrinogen after we get the straight tube. And we will also automatically thaw cryo. MTPs rely greatly on text judgment. It's really about saving a life. So you have to make a judgment call a lot of the times to just make sure that someone stays living because of our actions. And that's what makes it such a hard thing to do. The first option that there is an emergency release, and we're not going to cover that very much, but this is the form. This is what we would prefer. In an emergency release, we have 4 packed RBCs that are ready to go, and they are pre-labeled, and I will show you those labels in a little bit. You will see that we need a date and time and who is sending them out. The emergency situation, frankly, if it's really an emergency, that can be filled out later. We definitely need a patient name and a date of birth. The MR can be filled out later. The unit numbers can either be the sticker or they can be physically written down with the expiration date. I have had it before where the doctor has not been able to sign immediately because it is a situation that is of extreme importance. So in the end, like I said, you kind of have to be flexible. We're trying to save a life. So not our favorite thing because we're techs and we like to go by the book, but we got to be flexible in this case. A lot of times there's not going to be a blood bank sticker because it's an emergency, but if it happens to be, this is where it will be. And that's why we have this kind of question. This is the requisition that the nurse or doctor will send down so we know what to give them. This is also used in a downtime procedure, which is kind of nice that it's the same. It's usually going to be red blood cells or FFP or cryo. As you know, we don't have platelets here. We have to get them from another source. But this one does have to be at least signed. And then if they don't have a patient label ready because it is an emergency, that's understandable. Again, got to be flexible. Same with the blood bank armband number. And we definitely need to sign and the time that we are going to release the information. Obviously, if you're doing an MTP, this is not an important part. This is very, very important because you never want to be fussy and putsy with your computer programs during this process. So documenting every single thing that happens is exceptionally crucial. So we have obviously the date, we have the patient and date of birth, and we have the location that we're sending the blood, and occasionally that will change. They might go from the emergency room up to the OR to the ICU. and we can adjust as needed. And then the most important part is that the very first call made to announce the MTP is that we find one person that we are going to remain in contact with. That means we're going to talk to one person the whole time rather than calling and talking to 7 to 10 people who don't know what our last message was, which is kind of frustrating. So obviously there's a visual check. Make sure your unit is good. There's a unit number. You can write it down. You can put a sticker. There's a product code, so we know what it was, whether it was a RBCs or FFP or cryo or platelets. Thaw time, obviously FFP. Issue time, that's the time that we are going to send it through the tube system or in the cooler. Here we have the method, so we can either send it up in the cooler or through the tube system. Both are validated. Your initials. This is the part here that we're not gonna worry about for the moment. Eventually, we are going to enter it into HCLL, but as I said, we're just worried about saving a life. If the unit is not used within 10 minutes, it can come back, and if it is in the right temperature, we can accept it. Comments are for anything, something weird happens when you send it out, why, all that good stuff. That goes here. This is our lovely cooler form. So obviously, you got the staples right here. We have several coolers, 1, 2, 3, 4. The location is where the cooler is going to go. So like a lot of times it'll be the OR. Occasionally it'll be the emergency room, but primarily it is the OR or the ICU. So the important thing is, again, to either write down the unit or put the sticker and the expiration date. The type of the actual unit, whether it's patient specific or it is an ONEG, which is what we use for criticals situation. And then if they use it or not, obviously we document that here. And then it can be within a certain range and we can accept it. A very important part is that the staff that is bringing the cooler back will fill out this information, and upon receiving the cooler, the person who receives the cooler needs to put the date and the time and your initials. The time is very crucial for this, and you're going to make a copy for them. We're going to make a copy for us. Everybody gets a copy and we're happy. So this is when you go through what your hospital has in inventory. Depending on, obviously, the hospital, everybody keeps kind of a different amount. We're about a 50-bed hospital, so we're not going to keep a lot around. So if, for example, we needed to order a couple dozen more units because this person has gone through so many, this is the sheet that we would use in such an emergency situation. If we're going through dozens and dozens and dozens of units, we're going to obviously put when we got it and the unit number and the expiration date, and we're going to skip all the testing and we're going to go straight to who got it and when and why. And that's because, again, we're saving a life. In a typical situation, we would absolutely never take that risk. However, we just want this person to survive. So then when it comes back, we use the pigtails and we use any kind of information we can to fill out the rest. And that's really important, especially if there's a transfusion reaction in the future. So this is a very important document if we have to order other unit. Now it's also used for other things, which is kind of nice. Obviously you can see there's some other reasons we use it, but in this case, that's what we're using it for. And this is the tag I was talking about earlier. We have 4 O negative units set up for emergency release. And that is the first step in the MTPs. We're going to send those because we know for sure that they are O negative, and we know that they are just ready to go. So we're going to fill out as much information as we know. We might not know everything, but we're going to fill out the stuff that we know. And this is actually going to be on cardstock, and it is a yellow color to make it kind of stand out a little bit. And normally it will be type O negative. Now, if we have the patient in-house and they have been here within the last, if they have been in the hospital within the last 7 days and have not left, and we know their blood type, we are able to give them their specific blood type, and they, so that we don't go through their O negative completely. And that's just because we want to make sure that we have the option to use their blood type if we run out of O negative. We're a small hospital, that's just how it goes. But thankfully, at this wonderful, wonderful place, we don't have many MTPs, and the ones we have gone amazingly well. So if you have any questions, let me know or let Rachel know. And thank you for listening. I appreciate your time.